All right, everyone, let's call the meeting to order. Were you able to start the Teams meeting?
Yeah, what?
I sent them an invitation, and that should come up on the screen when they want to join.
Okay.
No, I was.
And I've
Alright.
not seen that yet.
Okay. All right, so thanks, everybody, for taking time out of your day for a work session today. We need to talk about our proposed ordinance changes. We've gotten some public input on a couple of things, and there were still some details that we needed to work through. I think the biggest thing, and there may be other things, but our proposed changes to the boundaries for our commercial industrial along Pine Road and then along 27. We've got some businesses who are concerned about plans that they may have had, how that might affect them. I think our main goal with doing that was, since the state changed the law requiring housing to be allowed in commercial zones, we didn't want to see housing development alongside industrial uses and the conflict that that would create. So I think you guys have been talking about this a little bit, trying to come up with some creative solutions maybe to how we can.
Been thinking about it, that's for sure.
All right.
No, I'm just, speaking personally, I'm personally opposed to negating the industrial uses for the section of 27. I measured that today, and that's an even 1 measured mile from town line marker of Exeter to town line marker of Epping. And there are some commercial businesses, on that strip. And one of the largest businesses that has received all their town approvals is the Prescott project there, the old castles, redeveloping the old castles on 101. And again, now right at the present time, under the laws that they were approved for, that was commercial section of roadway. Now I realize that there are pre-existing grandfathered use for the operation that has been approved. And I think that the laws on the books at the time of the approval exempt them from zoning changes for a prescribed period of time.
It's not a prescribed period of time. It's in perpetuity until that use ceases to exist for 2 years.
Until there's a change in zoning.
Zoning.
They would only be forgiven of a zoning change if they had done substantial improvement. You're confusing the fact that.
Yeah, within how many months?
It's been expanded. It used to be a year. Now it's 2 years.
Correct.
And it holds for a period of 5 years.
Correct. Okay.
Sorry about that.
Sorry. Mr. Marino, can you hear us? I've invited him to the room.
Sorry, I was muted. Yes, I can hear you. Thank you so much.
Yep. Can I have a motion for Mr. Marino to participate remotely?
So made.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Who's the second? Thank you.
So because they haven't done substantial improvement, they haven't vested themselves from those changes.
But they have a period of how long to do that, to make that investment?
2 years.
2 years.
2 years. Even with that being said, if we made this change, it would make commercial activity allowed, but industrial would be as it was permitted, a legally existing non-conforming use, which means if they wanted to do additional industrial, that would be a ZBA issue. And that's the issue that we should be discussing now, whether it's important enough to us to change that, to remove the industrial, to make that use something, that kind of use something that would only be allowed in the future by way of a variance.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think, we have a letter on file here from the Prescotts, and then a couple of members of the Prescott organization here today that may wish to speak to it, but I just think we ought to leave that section commercial and industrial as it is now. It's not an area where you have large tracts of land. Again, it's only 1 mile long. The Prescotts do have a approval for it'll be the biggest building in Brentwood, almost 3 acres under roof line. And they told us at the hearings, that during the approval application process, that they envision beginning on a limited scale, but then expanding their business to maybe involve the manufacture of certain of the products that they sell going forward. Everything would be contained. It's a very constrained piece of property. Everything would be contained within the building. It wouldn't be outside. It's not going to be a smokestack or a forging situation or, you know, industrial mining operation. And I just feel that we ought to extend the right that they currently have under zoning presently today, to have that allowance in the future and to make full use of their property, which again is a big benefit to Brentwood. It's something Brentwood pushes for all the time. We say we're very business friendly, and I think this would be a way of making that very clear that we're behind the business activity in town. And again, where it's not a large section of land with large pieces of property, I don't see what an industrial. I think our biggest problem is we don't even know what the word industrial means.
There are definitely clear definitions to industrial, but the board,
We haven't adopted.
No, we haven't.
we have not adopted one, but
And
there is.
and the devil's in the details. So my worry is that 3 years from now, they have the building built, they're in operation there, and they decide to expand to actually produce some of the products that they sell. They may come back before the board or the town, and somebody may say, hey, this is a change of use. This is not allowed because now we don't allow industrial. If, in fact, industrial means the manufacture of, these guys do basically water softeners, water treatment products.
I apologize, sir. Could you come to the podium, please? And could you just please state your name? for me?
Yeah, Rowan Prescott from Prescott Real Estate and RE Prescott Company. So right now, we currently are in Exeter, New Hampshire. We do distribution and light manufacturing of water treatment and wastewater pumping stations and associated equipment with the water and wastewater side of the world. And it is our idea to move the entire business to Brentwood. And at that point, we would continue with all of our distribution and light manufacturing in that new facility and possibly expand that to more manufacturing of the individual components if it was beneficial to us.
Thank you. I think the board might also want to consider maybe not a full industrial moniker, maybe a light industrial. If you look up the definition of light industrial, that's exactly what he defined as what light industrial is. A lot of municipalities and larger city-type areas have many different levels of industrial and many different levels of light manufacturing. And if you do your reading on light manufacturing, it states that it's supposed to be a transition between residential and industrial. You have that gap in between the two to separate them, and it's supposed to be more residential friendly. You might even consider having that whole, and this conversation of, I think I want to make sure we're not losing sight of the businesses that are already there on 125 and with the potential of housing there as well.
Well,
I don't want to.
About 125, now I'm only speaking to Route 27.
I am. So I don't want to be short-sighted of all the business owners in Brentwood and the potential to have more business opportunities in Brentwood simply because the state of New Hampshire is scaring us I shouldn't say scaring, wants to put housing within our commercially zoned areas. I still want to have the possibility of a light manufacturing facility within our commercial areas as well.
Again, the devils are always in the details.
Mhm.
So it's very important that if we went that route, that we would be extremely detailed in what
Yeah.
light industrial means.
We've
And I'm not sure we're ready to do that. That may be something we want to do a year from now after more careful consideration.
Mhm.
But for this year, where zoning's fluid, leave that section commercial, industrial along 27. Again, the land mass is going to dictate what types of businesses go in there. In the case of the Prescotts, all of their activity has to take place within the building because of the constrainment of the wetlands. And if, as you look, you drive, I drove that today to measure that mileage along there. It's largely wetland, back more than maybe 150 feet at most from the road.
We all know the variances that were granted. in
Right,
order for
and we
that
did have
project
a,
to move forward.
commercial type business that
Mhm.
came before the board probably 10 years ago. That was the Bowling Alley project on the north side of 101, essentially across from the Prescott property.
I think this conversation is equally important to all the commercially zoned property in Brentwood. This brings up an extremely good point of there are business owners there already. I don't want to stifle business within the town of Brentwood. I
that's
don't
it.
want to lose that very
So I
important.
think, yeah, let's take a pause. So I think we need to break some of this down into different issues
Hmm.
because, one, I absolutely don't want to impinge on anybody's current business or, things that might be in the works. But I don't want, and I don't think anybody wants housing next to heavy industrial uses. And I agree, the devil's in the details, that if we're going to define something like on Pine Road, and the state allows us to say we can exclude housing in industrial areas, but if we want to allow light industrial where there could be housing in another area, we need to be really careful that we're
Being clear about that.
being very
Being clear
clear
about
about that.
Yeah.
So it seems like we need a Pine Road zone that allows heavy industrial and commercial and excludes housing. And maybe a Pine Road that's commercial, light industrial, and still allows multifamily.
Could we just back up just a little?
Uh-huh.
About how you were explaining Pine Road? As I understand it, we're deleting the commercial activity
Correct.
on Pine Road
Mhm.
because commercial equals
Housing.
housing.
Correct.
So
But we can exclude, under the law, we can exclude
housing.
housing.
Correct. So that's what I'm saying. Right
If
now,
there's
our
industrial
proposal
use.
is for industrial only on Pine Road. I agree. Let's keep that way. 125, commercial, let's keep it that way. Let's just for the time being, we're asking the townspeople to swallow such a drastic change in zoning across the board from housing to business-wise. Let's leave the 27 section, commercial industrial, this year. Then we have more time to learn as members what light industrial is.
If we
or how-
want to refine it.
If you want to refine it then, but do it after careful consideration and the details get figured out and properly, shown and to people, get people's total agreement or disagreement on it. for
As
this year.
with what Bruce has said, is there a downside in keeping it commercial industrial?
No,
27?
it's,
The only downside is if commercial stays the designation,
Mhm.
then the state expects you to allow multifamily there.
Okay.
I'm sorry, so the downside is what?
Allowing multi.
Allowing multifamily there.
With commercial industrial,
Mhm.
that's the designation.
Or with just commercial.
But
Right now, we're talking about just commercial on 27.
Right, changing it to
That
just be
allows.
commercial.
what?
But
and
that would have
remind-
allowed
Yeah,
multifamily anyway. So
Right.
we're not, if
remind me
we
why.
keep it at commercial industrial,
Right.
we're essentially not changing the state mandate.
Right.
And we are incorporating language that says multifamily is allowed in commercially zoned districts. So we're not effectively doing anything different.
Right.
Other than if we keep the designation as it is, we're allowing that industrial use can continue on 27, as has been the case for the last 40 years.
So I just challenge board members as you do your research over the coming year to actually look at the land mass, look at the soils there, look at the frontages, and you'll find that there will be no concerns about some huge industrial manufacturing plant, a car manufacturer, something coming in there. I mean, number one, we don't have the infrastructure to support it anyway, but all it will do is allow applications like the Prescott's, if there are small manufacturing businesses to come in there and work. Do your homework, come back with some convincing evidence to change that one small section next year, in 26, 27.
So let's talk a little bit about Pine Road, because I guess what I'm worried about is treating two places differently in a way that doesn't make sense or is hard to justify. So we also have an objection from a landowner on Pine Road of removing commercial.
I think that's a good, and again, if you kind of focus more on just the verbiage, but go out and actually look at the parcels of land there, Pine Road is one huge gravel pit. I mean, a restaurant just really doesn't go there. But I would adopt, and I would totally agree with your suggestion if you want to leave that commercial, because I look at places like Exeter has now an FW Web, I don't know if you know where that is, off from Epping Road, or Palmer Sicard off from Holland Way in Exeter. Those are very clean commercial businesses. FW Web is all sorts of plumbing, everything from A to Z in plumbing, huge operation. They're all over the state and all over the region.
But they're not a sand pit either.
They're not a sand pit either. But I mean, they could go there and it would work there. As
But-
Mark said, I don't think, I mean, I personally wouldn't go over and eat a hamburger on Pine Road.
I wouldn't eat a sand
because of
sandwich.
all the grit.
I don't know what their plans were, but I've certainly worked in industrial areas where there's like a little walk-up place where the people who work in that area would go grab lunch. So,
But if you don't, there is a pretty substantial piece of property on Pine Road that you've seen a plan for housing for that before.
Mhm.
And that's right next to a tar paper manufacturer.
It's
I
about-
don't,
it's out of 100 acres, I think there's 8 developable acres that the Conservation Commission figured out on that.
there is some wetlands involved in that, but,
Huge.
okay, but you've already seen a plan for housing for it. And that's the thing we want to try to eliminate,
If,
is industrial mixed with residential just kind of equals trouble.
well, the state law envisions that there are areas, even if zoned commercial or industrial, that aren't suitable for whatever reasons for housing development. We take it a step further. We presently say that housing won't be allowed past a numerical distance on Pine Road. So if we went forward, if we didn't change the Pine Road designation at all, and instead said multifamily use is not permitted in the commercial industrial zone on Pine Road, if someone took us to court, we would still be able to say, look, we always have felt this way. The state legislation has nothing to do with it. It's our heavy industrial area, and we've never permitted housing to be there.
so I guess that's what I'm getting at a little bit though, is if we keep Pine commercial industrial and exclude housing, but we keep 27 commercial industrial and allow housing, does that create an,
Only in that that's really how we felt about the two areas.
but should we define,
Well, again, there's good reasons. for
Something a
doing
little-
that. If you actually-
no, I know, but how we define it, should we define light industrial or, again, knowing like the chances of heavy industrial coming in are not really there, but if we want to exclude housing in one area and not another, it seems like those two areas should be defined a little bit differently.
Well,
I think we've already established it in our zoning
For Pine,
for Pine Road.
yeah.
We already have. There, it's currently commercial industrial on 27, and we wouldn't have stopped a residential, well, we wouldn't have in the future stopped a multifamily there because we consider that not heavy industry.
But we don't define that anywhere. We don't,
No, but we do very clearly say no housing 1,327 feet up Pine Road, for the extent of Pine Road. We've called that out. And
Yeah.
so we just continue to call that out. And say we don't feel that that is an area conducive to residential development. multifamily or otherwise.
So we kind of backing up on all of this and just saying leave the zones as they are, double down on no housing on
That's what it sounds like to
Pine
me.
Road?
Yeah,
Pine
I think we're
Road.
missing an opportunity, especially on 125. We know the impacts of a trommel running on 125.
A what?
A trommel, sir, a trommel.
Well, we're not changing that.
Oh, well, that's
No, that's
present,
that's what Mark's saying.
that's what I'm saying. It's presently zoned commercial industrial. Running a dirt trommel or an earth trommel caused quite a bit of a stir.
I thought we were changing
but-
that 125 to commercial.
We are,
We
we
are.
are.
Yeah.
That's, yes.
I'm not
So we're just
following.
talking
But
about
food-
27 and Pine.
Oh, he's talking about, he's saying 125, but he's thinking 27.
The comment was just made that why are we doing anything then? So I am saying, well, let's
For
take a
the-
look at 125 and decide what we want to do there. We know what happens when industrial activity happens on 125. Do we want to see that happen again? This is our opportunity to change some of that zoning for the better.
Yeah, I like
And that's why I brought up the idea of light industrial. Light industrial doesn't include heavy equipment.
I don't like that, that's too ambiguous.
That it's all the way in the definition.
And I don't
And it
think.
happens in many
I
different
don't think
communities.
that
And it's,
the trommel thing on 125 to me wasn't, that's not industrial. Guys filtering a few rocks through a sifting machine or sorting machine. That's non-mechanized.
Right.
It's just.
it was mechanized. It was a
That-
trommel,
that-
sir.
That was the bark mulch was behind.
No, no, it was not. They ran a trommel
Rock.
there.
All right,
Well,
anyways.
Well, can we get, yes, can we get beyond that to the question of whether we want to go forward and change the 125 zoning so that it is just called commercial?
And let's not put a definition of what that is, because that's
So you have to,
ambiguous. I mean.
but you want to just have an
It's,
ambiguous commercial zone?
Multifamily commercial.
I thought that's what we were doing. The
Yeah.
formal multifamily commercial industrial along 125 will
Right.
become a commercial district.
Right.
That is exactly what we said we were going to
And let's
Right.
not
to do.
No definition of what commercial is. up
Well,
by
if
state
you-
law or-
Well, it's what we have for our,
definition.
our present, in our commercial zone, we see what we allow.
Commercial,
Continue
if you
to
keep
be
reading,
allowed.
commercial district, and it's defined. Shops,
So-
restaurants, and other retail businesses, medical and other professional offices, garages and filling stations, places of worship, public educational use, hospitals, nursing homes, manufacturing and warehousing, food service industry, multifamily residential, mixed use and adaptive reuse that includes residential units.
See, I mean, I like that, and it says includes manufacturing, but I don't want to go any further and try to define every little manufacturing business. Just say manufacturing, just as you wrote it perfectly, you planned, done an amazing job.
Well, that's what Steve Whitman, those incorporate their changes as well.
So why is it a problem for 27 to be commercial if we allow manufacturing in commercial?
Well, again, any court case is going to go, I think Paul can speak to this, goes to intent. I mean, that's what we've always learned from town land use attorneys, is that if it gets to a court situation, it's what the intent was. So,
And that says just, it says, it does say manufacturing and it does say warehousing, but it doesn't really use the term industrial in any way. But we allowed that to include the Prescott facility using our existing definition.
Right.
Of commercial industrial.
For
Commercial
industrial,
industrial.
yeah. But that's, I'm assuming that's different than manufacturing.
Well, the commercial industrial was defined with that definition, short of the one about adaptive reuse. That's been put in as, for this round of corrections.
you can change it in the future, so let's just leave it like it is.
I have a question.
Use your definition.
Whatever we do, can zoning just, oh, like somebody brings it to zoning, can they just overturn it? No.
ZBA cannot, you know, for-
No, the only people that
Not
can
arbitrarily.
change zoning districts are the people of Brentwood. It has to be voted on.
But you're asking if
mean,
a
a ZBA
specific application.
No,
Yeah.
the ZBA,
Application.
Right, a variance request is really very regimented. And the hardest criteria, there are 5 of them, but the hardest criteria is the hardship criteria that says there has to be something about the land in particular that makes it different than similarly located properties, and that hardship criteria is very difficult to overcome.
Okay,
Can you repeat what you said before? You said the industrial is, uses that wording of manufacturing?
Our present wording for commercial industrial is defined, and it includes manufacturing and warehousing.
Is it more expansive than that?
The one that we would adopt now does get more expansive than that. Not in those types of uses, though. It clarifies multifamily and adaptive reuse for residential purposes. That's the expansion.
that's the commercials, though. I think what he's asking is our current definition, or the allowed uses
For
in
industrial.
commercial industrial.
Those exist just as was read by Mark, and then also what is found under the industrial permissions in the zone description for Pine Road. That's the only other place that's listed.
Can you read that? Do you have it handy? Sorry, I didn't bring my book today.
Commercial industrial are those uses found in 300.2.1.2. Those are the ones that Mark just read, except the one he read is the one that's been expanded. And so that includes manufacturing and warehousing. And that is the definition that describes what's allowed for commercial and industrial use. Those are the specific uses granted for that district. And that district includes the one on Pine Road. And when you go to the description of the zone for Pine Road, the only thing it additionally states is that we don't want to see housing in that district.
So it's basically the same things that are listed for the commercial?
For the
district?
commercials, for the commercial zone, yes. Well, the commercial industrial zone.
Well,
So I guess that what we haven't done when we said, let's make Pine Road just industrial, is define the uses.
Well, the word
think we all-
industrial, really.
I think we all knew in our minds it's what's there now, basically, but, all right, can we set aside, Mark, I want to make sure that we address your concern about 125, but I'm not sure what the issue is with 125. Are you saying that we should limit the commercial district and not allow some of these things that are permitted now?
I think he's saying the opposite.
No, when we take the industrial name or title away from 125, we just strictly make it commercial property. I don't want business owners, like the business owners we see here, to be concerned about what activities they can expand to and what they can do on their property. But I also want to be sensitive to the fact that housing potentially could go there.
On
And there are a lot of different ways different municipalities and different cities and towns set up their commercial, light industrial districts to create that separation or ease those tensions between residential development and commercial development. And they do that by, there's a light industrial, they set up those districts in different ways.
I mean, the problem, and that all, I hear what you're saying, but now
Mhm.
we're having to draft this thing on the fly,
Yeah.
if you will, and it
Mhm.
sounds like, the listing, of what constitutes commercial is essentially the same thing that constitutes industrial. Which, that causes some level of concern.
It does. It does. We should have well-defined districts.
But no, how about this? I mean, I like the commercial way it's prescribed in our what we're going to offer to townspeople. Why not go with that commercial definition this year then next year, just as you could with 27, you can figure out if you want to try to limit and separate certain commercial activities that are not appropriate. I mean, gravel pits aren't appropriate there anywhere. I don't think under a gravel pit section, that's not, a gravel pit wouldn't be allowed along 125 anyway.
Well, I think if you're going to have Pine Road strictly be an industrial district, you need to define that.
Right, but it's not, as Paul said, you're way, the horses left the barn a long time ago in terms of voting.
No,
here.
no, I mean, this is why we
No.
have public hearings.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't think
I
you
mean,
can-
that's the whole intent of a public hearing.
I don't think you can well research that with what, you have got how many days, 2 days?
Well, I think we can, I think
No,
we
we
all
can-
have an
we have
idea
to-
of
that's a-
what heavy industry is and what's on Pine Road now, and I'm sure there's a state definition that we could pull from.
Yeah, that's the whole point of the public hearing. You can continue that hearing to the 22nd.
Right. but
You get
between-
that input from people. That's the whole point of inviting
but-
people to
but
come and talk to
what
them.
Paul's saying between the 11th and the 22nd, that's pretty easy for me, it's 11 days.
Yeah,
You'll have to come up with all these definitions and then have another, you don't have time for another public hearing. Those things would have
no,
to be
we got to
set in
wrap it up by
stone.
the 22nd,
In
absolutely.
11 days, you'd have to do that.
Yeah.
It just seems like that's a little bit quick.
Our goal is to provide the framework within which we're comfortable with multifamily being permitted in town. That's what our driving goal is here. So from my perspective, whether we change the designation on 125 to be just commercial or to keep it at commercial industrial, doesn't make a lot of difference. If we know we're keeping the phrase commercial there, we know that we have to allow for multifamily, which means we have to incorporate the multifamily provisions we've developed for this town meeting.
And it doesn't-
Beyond that,
Particularly, it doesn't make a lot of difference where now I'm realizing that the factors are, for all intents and purposes, the same.
for what we're trying to accomplish as far as keeping housing out of Pine Road, we state at the beginning of the definition for industrial commercial.
This is 1325 feet.
Page 8. Yeah, maybe you can read that once again. Glenn.
Yeah, I will. It used to have a length associated with it. It doesn't anymore.
It does, I think
No, it doesn't. It just says,
defines it by property.
it used to, it just now says, no dwelling shall be permitted in the commercial industrial district of Pine Road. And no subdivision shall take place within this district with less than the required land area stated in 300-2104A below, which are the standards for commercial
300
industrial.
feet, 303.
300 feet and 3
But
acres.
you could, I think it's important though to go, to at some point, maybe next year, fix that, because somebody could buy 2 pieces of property, 2 homes that are on Pine Road now, put the lots together, combine the lots, and then they would have a commercial use right out to 111A.
What would,
So if you don't want that. But I think the way
Well,
it's,
we have the district, I mean, the map shows the district going.
so that's,
It's
You'd
not
have to-
starting until it's basically 1,300 feet up Pine Road anyway.
so maybe we've got it, maybe that looks it.
Yeah,
That's what I'm always asking, does the map?
So the
keep
map's
this?
different than the language?
No,
No?
no, just the maps, because this just says that you'll follow whatever is the commercial industrial district of Pine Road, and that's shown on our zoning map.
So which takes precedent, the written language or the map?
the language points to the map.
The language in this case points to the map, points to what our district boundaries are. And those are exclusively shown on the map.
We can still say, well, obviously exclude housing from that, so that sounds great.
I mean, we've said that, we've always said that. The only issue we were trying to resolve was if we remove the word commercial from commercial industrial on Pine Road, you removed any expectation that the state law could allow multifamily to be there.
Right.
That's what we were saying.
Mhm.
By just indicating the 125 is going to be commercial for at least this year, coming year, we're protected. We met the state law that allows the multifamily where appropriate.
Because we've made provision for multifamily within the commercial zone on both 27 and 125.
And then forward, should you see a request for multifamily, or even if you don't, you can always go back another year and try to come up with some definitions of what type of commercial you like or don't like.
So hypothetically, Glenn, if someone were to say, because Pine Road's commercial and industrial, if someone were to hypothetically now want to put in a multifamily there, would they have basis and grounds, to do so? I think that's the concern, right?
Yeah, I think that this is an instance where we would want to develop language that specifically says multifamily is not a permitted use in the Pine Road industrial commercial zone.
We've got time to do that.
I think,
And we can refer to the section of the state law that says that we
That
can
says there
exclude.
are exemptions that exist, and we're calling on that exemption.
All right.
on the 101 side, I think, if you don't have that language, I think there's a potential.
Right, there are a couple of parcels that could be redeveloped as multifamily, I think. But I think if we are in essence reiterating that we don't feel Pine Road is an appropriate place, regardless of how the state has changed state law. And we're holding to that.
And that's just good planning. If anybody went out there with any common sense and drove down Pine Road, they could see what's.
And anybody who was going to challenge us could look at our zoning ordinance and see that for 40 years, we've held that belief.
So let me ask again on 27, if we take out the word industrial, but our commercial district allows manufacturing,
I just
Is
don't, I
that-
think that's putting a lot of burden on a property owner, especially if somebody that has a vested commitment, financial commitment. That's just the whim of the 7 members of this planning board. It's not the will of the people. I think the will of the people, townspeople should be the overriding, deciding factor there.
but I'm just saying that our current commercial zone allows manufacturing in commercial.
And warehouse.
And that's what we're talking, and warehousing. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about excluding, which we need to define, heavy industry.
I don't think we can do that this year, and I just don't see any downside to allowing the industrial. Again, if you look at the land mass, the soils, the acreages there, the wetlands and all of that, there just isn't any viable opportunity for a major industrial complex to happen, period.
I don't think it needs to be major to conflict with housing, though.
Well,
And
I
if
mean,
there's,
but the dragway, to me, is far more egregious to housing than small commercial, industrial. It's just that it's too ambiguous. Down the road, some board's gonna say, oh, no, or a building inspector's gonna say, oh, no, that's industrial, that's heavy industrial, medium, light, medium. These are all good things to explore, but we've got too far into the process to try to do it in 11 days.
Well, the goal is if it's necessary, and if we can achieve our goals with a minimum of actual change to the zoning ordinance, then that's a win, right? I mean, I consider that a win, but we need to be comfortable with what we're saying in each instance. And I think the idea of changing the wording for the commercial industrial area on 27 for the impact that it would have is maybe not worth it.
You gotta get out and look. You don't wanna just get to the point where everybody's just reading pages in a book. You wanna get out and actually walk sites, get out there and look at it, investigate soils, lot sizes, uses. Instead of just, I wanna have Brentwood continue to be, at least on paper and words, business friendly. And that's what the majority of people, when we look back at our townwide survey that was done, people overwhelmingly support business activity.
Yeah. My only lingering concern, and then I'll be quiet, is if we have two different commercial industrial areas, and I know historically we've excluded, but historically housing, but historically we haven't had a state law that
Right.
requires us to have housing,
Right.
that we have two areas that are designated very similarly, but we all recognize are different, and one we're okay with housing and one we're not.
That's what
Why
came
would we not call them
Something different.
something different and
Right.
define the uses differently?
Yeah.
Well, I guess
Because,
Why not take commercial right out of it? That's the idea you guys came up with. I think it's a great idea. Just do that. And then leave 127, commercial, industrial, and all the problems are solved. I don't think you have to worry about,
well, not all the problems are solved because
Solved.
we do have somebody objecting to that as well,
What was the objection there?
that they have plans that they've been working on for a commercial venture on Pine Road.
I guess I would strike the word plans. They wanted the.
But we can't say that. We have
We can't say that.
testimony.
The letter that they submitted is
From a
is
property
in your packet. I think it's under, my apologies, under the agenda. There are two letters, one from the Prescott and the other one from Bobeck.
Yeah, it's a similar argument.
For the board, my apologies. Did you all receive that email, that letter by email from Bobeck? You did
Not,
that?
yeah, not the
Okay.
Prescott
I
one,
panicked
but
for a
the
minute.
other
I was
one.
like, oh.
Prescott
I
one
sent the
came
Prescott
today.
one out as well.
Well, if you did it today, I didn't see it,
Yeah, it
but
was-
the other one I did.
Yeah, I did,
today.
it was, I believe it was today.
Yeah.
I'll resend it right now, just.
No, the other one was definitely in there. I just didn't open that email today.
But again, Glenn, doesn't Glenwood have the right to make judgments based on good facts and knowledge of the area, or to the point where you could say commercial? I mean, it depends on what kind of commercial business it was. If it was a FW Web or Palmer Sicard on Pine Road.
They say,
no problem.
the
They could
people
so
that are
specifically
objecting
say
say,
restaurant.
they have a lot of things they wanted.
Yeah, but it sounds like everything that would be allowed in commercial is allowed in
Is allowed in the
industrial. So I
industrial zone
think
as
that the
well.
concern that's raised in the letter,
Is equally viable.
Yeah, that's why other
Yeah.
larger
So it's not really a
municipalities have better
concern.
definitions to these zones.
I'm just trying to take the
Yeah.
emotion out of it
Yeah.
by keeping 27 like it is. We all agree that whatever they might want to do is fine, but all it takes is, somebody comes in and a butter and throws a tizzy fit over something like that to perhaps sway a board, when the property owners have certain rights, and the town of Brentwood has spoken as to what they want to see there.
There have been certain instances in the past where housing has been allowed next to industry, and enough people get together and enough people complain, it shuts that industry down. And that's the whole point of proper zoning. We want to keep these things separated from each other to relieve tensions between the two. That's the whole point of it, and that's the whole point of what we're trying to do here is with the rezoning.
I think what we missed in all of this is that we generally understood what we were talking about, industrial, commercial, what we we're going to allow at different places, without really going back and looking at the list of what's allowed there, thinking that we
There was some silver bullet.
know
there.
what it means. So it seems like taking commercial out of industrial on Pine Road doesn't really have much impact because of the way it's defined right now. So we would either have to just leave it or define it better.
Yeah, if you're going to separate those two, you have to have definitions for the two.
And if somebody's
well,
going to come
other
in.
than the impact of not wanting the multifamily on,
Right.
Again, my concern is that the state law allows us to exclude from certain areas, but it seems like spot zoning to say we have two similar areas, but we're only going to exclude in one. So if those two areas are different, then we should define them differently.
I would agree.
don't think they are.
But-
I think it's
I
fine to
agree.
leave commercial on Pine Road because it all boils down to a financial fiscal decision. Nobody's going to put a restaurant down in the sand pit. I mean, they might have like a little coffee shop or something for people.
No, but we're more concerned about a multifamily as opposed to a
Right.
restaurant growing on High Road. I think
Right,
Like
I
Glenn
think,
said,
no,
though,
I
we
think
can-
no matter what we do,
can
we
exclude.
have to specifically state in the line, in the existing zoning where we say we don't want housing, that that housing includes multifamily housing. I mean, we just make that explicit in 300-211. And once we do that, the issue that I'm hearing from Kristen is then we do have an instance where we have two areas that have the same zoning designation, but they have very different allowed uses. And how confusing is that?
But it's for
Mhm.
good reason.
Yeah, you call and you say, what's allowed in this zone? Well, which road is it on? Like, they should be,
But we've kind of been
Different
doing
zones.
that ever.
well,
Is it right?
I don't think
So-
it's not right. I think that our prohibition against housing on Pine Road has always been the correct prohibition.
so what if we call that commercial industrial and we keep some of the name in Pine and keep the multifamily name in Pine?
Out and figure that out.
No, we're allowing it on
Fine.
On-
No,
27, sorry.
27.
27. You just see my hands. This is Pine, this is 27. So that they have different names, you know, it's 125 is the commercial zone. Pine is the commercial zone. 27 is the commercial industrial multifamily zone. They all have different names.
We could say that.
Emphasis on, if you label it with, it's this, and this, and then this one's this, and this other one's the same as the other one. But you can
But-
make exceptions.
But they're not the same, that's what I'm
They're
trying to
not the
say.
same.
They should have,
So,
We could absolutely add multifamily to commercial industrial on 27. The zone could be called the commercial industrial multifamily zone.
Why don't we just change it that way?
If we did that, then people would say, well, why, well, what is the commercial zone on 125? Why does that presumably allow multifamily?
because state law says so.
Well, but we have the word commercial and commercial industrial anyway,
well,
so.
we can call the,
So that's the concern.
I mean, I mean, that's the concern. And from my perspective, if that's the concern, then zoning is always concerning because that happens in all zoning.
Yeah, but why not just call the Pine Road industrial? Because, and I understand the concern raised in the letter here by Bobek.
Oh, I like that better. Pine Road Commercial Industrial. Route 27 Commercial Industrial. Commercial that happens on 25. And then you're not calling it multifamily commercial industrial. You're simply saying that we are designating these two zones because of location. And the locations happen to be very different.
different geographies, different roads.
Different existing uses, and that's why they allow different things.
Could you allow, have Pine Road be industrial with commercial being under special exception? Allow place.
Why don't we, because what we allow in commercial, we haven't, it's been called commercial industrial, and nobody has ever taken it upon themselves to put a whistling swan in the middle of that district. Why do we worry about it now?
I don't think you should, because it's gonna be a financial decision.
It is gonna be an absolute
What is a
financial
whistling?
decision. It was a restaurant. I actually think for clarity's sake and for making the zones, reflect what we're trying to accomplish, calling it industrial commercial Pine Road and industrial commercial 27 makes a lot of sense.
I
Because
really,
you can see in your head why it's different.
Mhm.
You just-
I-
is it
I-
Continue.
Industrial, commercial, and industrial, commercial,
What, the Pine Road Industrial Commercial would have a complete exclusion of multifamily
Would you,
as part of its definition. And
Doug's
on,
trying to say something.
in commercial industrial on 27 would not have that exclusion.
Okay.
Doug, go ahead.
yeah, so I was just going to say really quickly, and I apologize. I know I'm like a disembodied voice right now. But I like Glenn's idea a lot, both because it's accomplishes what I believe we as a board are trying to accomplish. But I think by to Kristen's point too, by delineating it, it makes it much more legally sound. Now, granted, I'm not a lawyer. I would defer to Paul on that, but it just strikes me as more legally sound under the statute to have it spelled out that way. And we also have a leg to stand on because this is how we've always treated Pine Road. So
That's the important feature.
So by just putting a different word at the beginning, that's how we're defining that district
That's-
differently.
That's why it's
Okay.
defined differently.
So
Because
you-
that
Even-
corridor is a different corridor than the Pine Road corridor.
How's that sound, Paul?
What, I'm confused about
Still
what you're
trying to
saying.
process it. So one would be industrial, commercial, and the other would be commercial, industrial?
No, they would both be.
I like that
commercial
idea.
industrial. They'd both be commercial
They'd
industrial.
both be a commercial
One
industrial.
allowed the multifamily.
Yeah, but
In
can't you
one word.
say the multifamily like
I'd
somebody's
still
suggestion?
rather just say Pine Road as industrial, because I think commercial activity would still fall within the industrial.
But clearly the restaurant, I don't even see it on here right now,
Places of
but
worship.
restaurant, office and retail, that's clearly commercial and not industrial. So I don't think it makes sense to make people upset that we're planning some to do some, whether they do or not, it's
I
not
think
really
you
the
gotta make a
point, but
decision.
I,
The board does need to.
You need to make it,
and I like the idea of saying commercial industrial versus industrial commercial. That sounds like there's something different about those things. Maybe there's emphasis on the first word.
Emphasis, yeah.
But I also like saying multifamily. Why can't we say commercial industrial plus multifamily? What's wrong with that on 27?
Then you need to do it on 125 too.
No, we're just doing commercial. We're not doing industrial on 125.
But the word
You are doing
multifamily.
and
Commercial multifamily, okay, whatever. Then it looks like we're actually trying to do multifamily, whether we do it or not. It's a different story, but it looks like we're trying to comply. I don't think you don't like it, Mark.
By dropping industrial from 125, someone famous once said at this point, what difference does it make? I mean, we don't have definitions to exclude industrial. We call 125 commercial multifamily. And somebody comes in, one person, two persons think it's industrial, well.
Well,
That's the point.
That's something we need to address.
we have a list
should
of things that are allowed.
Well, but what he's saying is it's not defined, so we need to define it.
It's defined, it's not defined away.
I will, between now and tomorrow,
For the 11 days to have something walked down in 11 days. Your suggestion is that we can just change the little verbiage on 27, essentially keep the same delineation of Pine Road, but with the multifamily or housing in general excluded.
Right, it's strengthening what is called the residential element here to to clearly include multifamily.
And
as being
125 would be
excluded.
just simply commercial multifamily.
So how is it gonna read?
okay, we're
I'm
gonna
now
have
confused.
That's-
Pine
that's a
Road,
good question.
Pine Road Industrial Commercial, 125 Commercial Multifamily, Route 27 Commercial Industrial Multifamily.
And that little bit of language.
It's all just textual, but it does clarify what is allowed at each place.
And it makes our intentions a little clearer.
Yeah.
So we will have a second public hearing following tomorrow night.
Yes, we have
In
to.
that intervening period of time, you would have a chance to dress up those. So
Yes.
it wouldn't be a lot of
Bruce,
research.
you've got to come to the mic.
Oh, it wouldn't be a lot of time or research.
Well, you're gonna have to talk about this as a board and actually vote on it
Tomorrow
Well,
night.
tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night.
So,
So let's talk about, because I've heard some people say, let's leave Pine Road alone, and some people say, let's define it as just industrial and take some of these uses out of it that don't make any sense.
Well, I think first you better have the definition of what commercial is so that you know what you're taking out. You
Well,
just-
we know what commercial is. What we don't have is a definition of like heavy industry.
So why don't we just
Correct.
leave it alone? And
That's-
let the environment out there determine whether someone's really gonna put offices or a restaurant.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, how do other folks feel?
I would think that would be the logical thing to do.
I think we were trying to make it cleaner,
Yeah,
but
we're working hard at working hard.
We're,
Yeah, we've spent an hour on this.
Proper zoning should have proper definitions. That's the point of zoning.
Okay. I'll, between now and tomorrow night, I'll see if there are easy, already existing definitions that we might want to grab for manufacturing and industry to make that a little bit easier.
Light
We,
industry, right?
we couldn't find that.
I think we better stay out of, that really could take a subcommittee looking for a couple of months. It's just too tight a timeframe to try to come up with those definitions that the whole community will support.
Right, and I think we should be addressing, what we're trying to really address here is
Multifamily.
addressing multifamily.
Yep.
And where we're putting it in our 3 zones.
I'm just one person, but unless they thought the definitions were clearly defined and well thought out, I would encourage people just to vote no.
And I don't want.
Can I make a
you out there
motion?
running around,
Yeah.
talking to the thousands of people that
Okay.
you know.
Can I make a
telling them
motion?
no.
I won't do that. If it
But
stays like what we're telling
I-
now,
I-
that's totally
I didn't
I-
find that, I
I
didn't really find that
understand-
helpful.
I understand where you're coming from, but I also feel like there's like 50 years of thousands of communities and states coming up with definitions. We don't probably need to.
But Brentwood may not like those. We need to make
You
sure.
know, Bruce might not
They're
like that.
pretty-
Let's be clear about that.
Can-
Bruce may not like
Okay,
Can-
let's don't,
Can
Yeah.
we just do something like, I mean, I'd love to make a motion, I don't know if I can, but I would like to say Pine Road is industrial commercial. 27 is commercial, industrial, multifamily, and 125 is commercial, multifamily. And figure out all the other ramifications, the definitions, for the next go-round. Because this seems like a lot of time on this, and we're not all of one mind, but we're pretty close on this. And if you actually add the multifamily onto the, whatever the other designation is for 27 and 125, that's clearly looking like we're trying to think about multifamily, which we're sort of mandated to do, right?
No, it's not the point of thinking about multifamily. The proper zoning thinks about residential and commercial
Right,
and
right.
those spaces.
Right,
So
but that to
but
me
yes,
is,
we are trying to think about multifamily in the way that we've been directed by state law.
yeah, that's what I meant. But it's just also cleaner,
that's what the state of New Hampshire's legislation wasn't clear,
yeah.
really.
There's nothing wrong with us being clear, and this
Yes,
is clearer.
yeah.
Anyway, that's my suggestion.
Thank you.
So do we
Okay.
need any further exclusion to multifamily then on Pine Road? Or
Yeah, I think we should. I think we should still do that.
I think we need to cite the
Because we're
RSA.
going to, if there's a challenge, I want it to be clear why we've done that.
Are you gonna come up with?
Yes, I will, I'll have that for you guys. I won't be there tomorrow night, but I'll have that language.
Okay, can you say, under RSA, blah, 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 we exclude?
Yeah, that's an excellent point.
Yep, I absolutely will.
Thank you.
Doug, you have anything else to add? Okay.
Can you?
It's another, no, we're at our Doug limit.
No, no, no.
Come up
We
here.
have to go up to the-
Nope,
The
the
one
other
up
one,
here.
the one with the red light.
If you could just state your name for me, sir, please.
Okay, I'm Doug Brenner.
Doug
so
Brenner, thank you.
Second Doug, I guess.
Sorry, I didn't recognize you.
Okay, 3 questions. One is, did I read something about no
I
multifamily?
do not.
What? Who, what? Oh,
That's the other Doug.
oh,
Yeah.
okay,
Thanks, Doug.
okay. Did I see something about no multifamily on 125 north of North Road? And I'm just wondering,
No,
is that a-
no. What that was about was it was zoned multifamily. And we're changing that, well, it sounds like,
I understand.
We-
I'm
we're-
just
we're-
making it part of the rest. That's
yeah, and that's just changing to commercial or commercial multifamily. But multifamily will be allowed on that side of North Road.
Okay,
But if you looked at our existing zoning map, it was in the blue, the same as 27. And that's where the change is going to come.
Okay, do we still have the town center? And is the
Yes.
town center multifamily as well?
Yes, within the ordinance that we've been writing, yes.
Okay, great, thank you. And last thing is, has anything been done about water and sewer, or just because we can be talking about multifamily all we want, but unless we have some kind of water and sewer, yeah,
No.
thing.
That has not been part of the conversation, sir.
Well,
I
thank
mean, we have talked to developers who have come in at different points about what technology is available now to, you know, say, have 20 units that have a septic that's, you know, like a commercial scale septic that 50 years ago wasn't available. So they have better ways now of being able to do a small multifamily unit with septic.
So the current requirement is something like 2 acres for every 4 bathrooms or something.
I think it's six dwelling units per developable acre is what's in our present proposal.
Well,
Proposal
up to
here.
8 with
With-
workforce.
With two additional if 2 of them are affordable. So you could have up to eight dwelling units on a developable acre. But we have 2 big subdivisions, or cluster subdivisions, I should say, one being 3 Ponds over here on North Road, and the other one being the one under construction now, Mill Road, where they have communal water and septic systems, but they're all contained, you know, on the property, and they're the responsibility of the homeowners association in those cases. So the town of Brentwood hasn't gone out and proposed any sort of, you know, infrastructure like water and sewer for Brentwood. I mean, I think we're talking upwards of $80 million for a very minimum system.
Well, there's talk about going with Epping or Exeter or something.
Yeah, the town of Brentwood has talked with Epping. Epping has some additional water capacity, but they don't have additional septic capacity.
So I'm just confused by that though, because you said 8 units on 1 acre?
Per developable acre, so you have to, Glenn could better explain just what a developable acre is, but
It's done by calculation, sir. So let's just say for the sake of argument, you have a 10-acre piece of property. Well, some of that property is wetlands, okay? So let's just say 3 acres of that 10 is wet. So you take that 3 acres out of the calculation. So let's say another 10% of that property or another acre is unusable slopes. I think it's slopes over 25%?
25%.
Slopes over 25%. So you remove them for the calculation. So what were we down to? 7 acres. Say you have 7 upland acres, good usable upland acres. You can do that calculation off of that. And the
Right.
calculation was 6 plus 2.
But you got to take up, there's a lot of other takeaways too, and that's one that would be in a humongous septic field, leach field with setbacks. And also the well radiuses for water. So just personally, we're not going to see any huge developments in Brentwood because the land masses just aren't supportable of a, you know, like a 100-unit apartment house. It's not going to happen without the water and sewer, and probably not even with water and sewer.
Okay, that's relatively new to me. I was always used to much more restrictive requirements.
Sorry to recognize you, and I apologize. Paul's sitting in your old seat.
So a couple things have happened.
I'm honored.
A couple things have happened at the state level, one being a mandate that we allow multifamily and commercial, and the other that we make opportunities available for workforce housing, and they have to be past the red face test that somebody could develop workforce housing. So we're trying to thread a needle here of keeping Brentwood's character and meeting the state law.
Yeah, no, I think that
Yeah.
housing, affordable housing is incredibly important, and it's anything that we can do that, you know, doesn't completely change the, you know, feeling of the town with affordable housing, and it's great. It's a good thing, so.
Yeah,
Just that density, I'm still confused by.
you can stop into my office anytime and I can explain it in more detail to you, sir. And I can also show you, I should have them tomorrow. Mr. Morrill is creating some renderings of the property that is located next to Tractor Supply and what that could potentially look like if the zoning ordinances that we're proposing passes, including garden-style apartments, some block, six block apartments styles, unit styles. So I'd be more than happy to sit down and have a conversation with you, sir.
Okay, great, thank you.
And we
Yeah,
do have our
absolutely.
meeting tomorrow night, and public's always welcome. 7 o'clock.
You're welcome.
I think, the workforce housing ordinance as put together here is a good one and, makes sense. But I know it's getting late, but I think the other gorilla in the room here is the ADU modification, language modification that I know you and Glenn had worked on in terms of scoping, something to follow the stratum ordinance in terms of space allowances.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be nice if we knew ahead of the meeting tomorrow night just what that language is, because that may be. Is that
The 1,100 square feet?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's already in there.
Okay.
It's included in your packets.
Okay. Cool. Excellent. What'd you say? That's what a public hearing's for.
So this is the new part, the gross size of the building footprint of a detached ADU, including, that is,
Sorry,
that's a new word for me,
pertinences?
pertinent uses, shall not exceed 1,100 square feet. Those uses include attached garages, porches, decks, storage areas, or any other attached or interior areas accessory to the ADU. So the gross size of the building footprint. So that they could go up.
Right.
Okay.
So, just have to raise one point on that. We have basically taken the ability for someone to put a garage on their ADU without sacrificing a ton of their space, which, and I'm all for that. I'm all for that because of the look of it. We're not putting a second house on a piece of land. So basically what it's going to have to be is it's going to have to be the type of land where they can put that garage underneath their ADU, and that will suffice. So that's basically what we've come down to. Or a single
Or on top of it.
garage.
Or single garage.
A single garage,
Or no garage, because this.
Or no garage,
The
but I mean-
affordability issue is supposed to include opportunities that are affordable.
Mhm.
And as I say, I somehow survived 40 years without a garage.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know how I did it, but I just, I don't personally.
Anybody that knows you knows your degree of crazy, so I'd say
Yeah.
maybe you didn't.
That's a matter of
Maybe
opinion.
everybody needs to get a garage.
Might not happen to them.
All right, so we talked about the zoning map changes, we talked about, was there anything else on ADU? Was there anything else on the multifamily ordinance?
I don't believe so.
I just wondered why on the multifamily, we talked about garden-style apartments, and we say 24.
I saw that.
Why can't we say garden apartments, but why do we have to include a number? I'm just thinking some people looking at this,
You don't have to.
yeah, so if we could strike the 24 business, I don't think, again, going back to looking at the land parcels, that there are many, maybe one or two possibly, that you could put 24 garden-style apartments.
Perfect point for you to make tomorrow.
But I think that in terms of selling that to the public, it just.
What number, what letter is that, sir?
That's.
Garden style, maximum. So you just want to,
You just want to strike,
Strike the 24.
Maximum.
just strike that line, maximum of 24?
Yeah. If it works, it works.
Now,
I guarantee you.
That's not, but what has been posted for tomorrow includes that, so
Well, exactly.
don't
So
forget to
that's a
say that
change.
so
tomorrow.
you'll have to make a motion.
right.
Yes.
In case of people, maybe there is some interest in the changes that are going on. Would the best idea tomorrow, even if we have very few people attend in the public, to read through these as a board? Read
We
through?
have a PowerPoint presentation,
Oh, well,
but then, yes, we
I'm
should.
not sure just what that is, but that's great. Let's do that.
You have a question of clarity.
Yes.
Mr. Morrell asked me, especially about these garden-style apartments. It says we're limiting them to 2-story. Those are 2 living floors, and then you can have a garage underneath?
Well, the garage would go on top.
Well, he asked for clarity, and I gave him what I thought was an answer, and I want to run that.
What was
So
your
mad. You make me so mad sometimes.
What was your answer, Mark?
We have in the town of Brentwood an ordinance that says no building or structure can be over 35 feet. And I said, well, it doesn't make any sense to me that you'd limit a multifamily building to just 2 stories. So you'd have to limit it to 35 feet to be
The 35 feet
consistent.
was living space, and that was the concern of the fire department, not having apparatus that would be able to.
Yeah, that's fine. But When we're saying the two-story, you can have an under garage and the first floor, and then it's, so basically 3 stories. So I don't know why it says two stories.
But you should
This,
say,
I'm being serious.
no, I am too. I mean, you just be very clear as to what, what that
If
allows.
the desire is to say 35 feet, we should just say
35 feet, that's my point. And why are we even saying 2 stories here? We should just limit it at 35 feet.
Yeah, I think that came up because they showed us some pictures that were,
Why are you
Bigger
getting
than-
rid of the maximum of 24? I miss,
I don't.
Ladder truck.
No,
no, I get the
the-
35 feet.
Okay.
yeah.
I-
Two different things.
I think that again, in terms of people in town understanding the need to go from our 2-acre, 1 house per 2-acre.
Right.
To just, and I'm not even sure that, I'll be honest, put my hand up first, that anybody on the planning board really knows what this would look like, a schematic of this. And I'm just concerned that people who think this is, they're gonna maybe think of this as an Exeter-style apartment complex with 100 units on it.
Right, but if you delete the maximum of 24 units, don't you?
Well, I'm saying the landmass is gonna take care of that, the upside of that.
Do we know that for sure?
Well, I don't know, I look at the parcels there, and you could have, for that many houses, you gotta have one hell of a leach field. You're gonna have a big well radius field. The more water you're taking from a well, that well zone expands as you go out.
Wouldn't you rather, though, just set a maximum so you know it's not going to be something beyond
Well,
that?
again, I'm just thinking this might, I mean, I may be wrong, I don't have any problem with that personally. I think it's perception that people may think that you're trying to go too far.
I understand that, too.
that
Mark-
24 sounds too big.
Mark, did you say you're gonna have renderings tomorrow of a garden-style apartment?
I'll have renderings? Yeah, he
Tomorrow?
said he'd have them to me tomorrow morning.
Garden-style, okay.
Like this-
That'll
Yeah,
help. So,
which is gonna be super helpful.
I think, and we can talk about this tomorrow night, but it would be striking that whole first sentence, maximum of 24 units in a 2-story structure, because if we already have a 35-foot limit,
Yeah,
In
it's
our
within our,
ordinance, we don't-
right.
need it there. Okay.
Well, that could be, without a garage, that could be 3 stories then, right?
I think the premise was that the living area, the floors where people are living, this height, that the maximum height where the people might need to be saved from the fire wouldn't be beyond 35.
Right, but that, without a garage, that, then that
It
would
just
be,
measures
that
from-
would be 3 stories.
Well, it's measured from the surface.
Yeah.
If the garage is underneath, it's not a problem. So,
That would still be 3 stories.
Okay, yeah, I think that's what
Not
you're
based
saying.
on
Let it-
stories.
Just put the maximum height on and
So it could be like 3 stories with like, I don't know, 12 units on each floor, and now we're up to 36. That's why I'm like, well, why are we deleting the 24? So,
Well, this is specifically, we're talking about garden-style apartments.
understood.
and I don't know
Now,
what a
we,
garden
do,
style-
we have to envision in our mind what a garden-style apartment is, right?
I have no idea.
It's,
Paul.
Okay.
it's usually a cluster of buildings separated with some sort of garden style in between, right? So you'd have structures surrounding it with an open space in the middle. Most commonly, you'd see them with a 1-stall garage, right? And then a stairway that goes up. Those are pretty common. And I think that's what the rendering that you're gonna get is going to be. So
That's what people think was a townhouse.
some people try to limit how many pods you can have, like you have one section of them, right? You'd have a roadway and then one section, open section with them around it, and then up further on the road, you'd have an open space with a section of them. You could put a limit on how many could be in that particular, I'm calling it a pod for lack of better words, but
Building.
yeah, one building area. And I think that maybe that's where the 24 units was going in one pod area. I mean, your land mass is really gonna project how much density is going to be there. The only thing you wanna be able to control is how many of those units are in one stack, one pod area, one garden style area, you know what I'm saying? And you'd stagger them further up the roadway.
Since we can't make any decisions today, how about we all look tonight at some images of garden-style apartments and size and get a
We have
sense?
to have a definition of what a garden style is. I'm not trying
We
to-
asked,
but I mean, that's-
yeah, we kind of asked resilience for that, but,
Google that.
but yeah. Okay. That's multifamily. Anything else?
I was confused by some of the workforce housing stuff I read that was sent by Mark. I'm not sure if that's for tomorrow night or, like, one thing
Yeah.
said 4 bedrooms, one thing said 3 bedrooms. There were a couple typos for like punctuation kind of stuff. It was just confusing to me.
In the ordinance itself?
Yeah, it just kind of, I don't see it here.
Yeah.
I'll bring it tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah,
It
if you
was,
saw
it was really confusing.
inconsistencies.
And the other thing is where they're saying we're in the district that affordable housing can be at 100% of the median income, which is like $170,000 in.
Yeah, it's about
In,
150, the area.
I think it's like 170, the 100%.
So the workforce housing definition is the state's definition, and it's based off the area median income, and Brentwood is
So
one of
how
the
would you
highest
ever
in the
have that?
state.
Yeah, so how would you
So
ever
it's
get
still so for people who have raised concerns about, we heard some of those at the housing forum, which I won't repeat. The reality is you're still talking a $400,000 to $500,000
that?
house.
Which is now on the
So
low end for our towns.
It's not,
432,000.
is below.
The state's just saying you have to provide an opportunity. It doesn't tell you how.
Well, they're also saying that the character of adjoining uses will not be affected adversely, and the proposed development will have no detrimental impact on abutting property values. How do they figure $450,000 next to a $790,000 house is not gonna be a first
Because if
impact?
you use that same reasoning, which the people that appraised our properties used, Tanya Way killed me. Because it
I
raised
thought
my
Tanya-
value way up.
But I
because-
thought Tanya Lane wasn't that affordable at some, no, not Tanya, then I'm thinking of something else.
No.
I'm thinking of
I
a
think,
different one.
that's just
Mm,
everything.
mm.
Oh, yeah. and
Everywhere.
The 3 ponds and all that.
Oh. Okay, anything else?
This is great. Just a question on the workforce is unchanged from what you handed out at our last meeting, right? Workforce isn't in this packet. But it should be-
That's not on a public hearing for tomorrow. Oops.
or workforce isn't?
Just for the 20 or?
Second.
Oh,
Second?
We're going to have to do it on the 22nd. I mean, what we have going on tomorrow would be the ADU, the building inspector, multifamily, and zoning map changes. And I don't think you guys wanted to schedule any more than that, than
But
4.
how would the calendar work? So if we have the workforce housing public hearing on the 22nd.
Yep,
Then we either vote it up or down. We can't make any changes.
right.
Because all it is the former one anyway.
So
There was also something in there about reducing impact fees by 20% or something in workforce housing.
I didn't see it, no.
No, I'm sorry?
In the workforce housing, there
I
was
think that is in there.
a reduction in impact fees of 20% or something.
Yeah.
It's a number 4. It's under one of the number 4s.
Mhm.
One was the 170,000 income, but the other one was reduction in impact fees.
I haven't read it recently. I've been really
But that
concentrating on
was
these
like
4 ones. so.
opening a can of worms.
Well, I think part of the logic with using that one is the town had it before, and there were actually a couple of developments. So it's evidence that it worked. And we are not in compliance with the law right now, so.
And we're still addressing Select Board next Tuesday with the PowerPoint? Oh,
Yeah, you were on the
Are-
agenda.
Are we on the agenda?
Yeah.
Is everybody coming?
You asked.
Anybody want to volunteer to present?
I'm coming to watch you present.
Yay. Thanks, everybody.
You did such a great
Six.
as a selectman.
Thank you, Kristen.
there is an invite for the board to attend the Brentwood Public Breakfast on Saturday
Oh,
And
that's
present-
right. That's a good point.
and
Bring that
present
up.
any information,
What's
pamphlets.
Saturday?
This Saturday. It's
What
the-
is it?
It's the Brentwood Public Breakfast.
Mhm.
It's free. It's at the BRC between 9 and 11, I believe.
Saturday, 9 to 11.
It's the, I don't know, I think the group is kind of an informal group called Preserve Brentwood.
But they don't want, like, somebody standing up and,
Well, I mentioned it last night at the select board meeting that Bruce may be there to answer any questions.
Okay.
But it'd be nice
For
to have
zoning.
other people
Yeah,
there
we-
too, and I thought maybe,
Maybe,
Maybe-
and
I was
It was-
approached and I will be there as well.
all right.
and I volunteered, subsequent tomorrow night, whatever the board decides, finalizes, I would have copies made on Friday, because I know Mark's off Friday and Friday. I would have copies made, because they said that handouts would be, helpful if somebody who had questions.
I
I'd
can-
like to hear a
Jim
little.
Hayes,
I will have
had
those
made mention
prepared
of
for you,
that.
Well, I
Mr.
mean, I
Stevens.
don't
No, I
expect-
must control what you're handing out. I can't have
I-
it just willy-nilly handing out things.
The issue that, that I see with this is it doesn't show what we're changing. So, and most people, they're not gonna know what's in there right now. So this like this commercial one looks all new when all we're doing is, adding that and then. So, do
I'm
you
going-
have the versions that show strikeout and underline?
No, well, what I have is good, clean versions of what I have, and they're on Word already. So I can go in and easily change them. If I have time tomorrow, that's sort of my plan.
No, and I wasn't
Is
making
I want
fun of
to
it. Smart.
unofficially incorporate what you guys have talked about and just keep them in, and then when you officially maybe do them, I will already have them typed
Yeah,
out.
but you know what I mean, like there's, what's on the books right now, and we're proposing changes.
Well, that's what the public hearing
So-
process is all about. You're introducing this as a draft at a public hearing. You're going to vote to change that draft.
Right, right, right,
and-
no, but
and-
what I'm not talking about changes we might make at the hearings. I'm
Mhm.
saying we have a 300-002-001 section right now in the ordinance.
Yep.
All we're doing is editing parts of it. So if you handed this to somebody right now, they would be reading the entire thing and saying, wow, look at all these things you've done. When in fact, all we're doing is like tweaking here and there.
Mm-hmm.
So you want the original and then
I want the
then
strikeout
right next to it or
version.
something, yeah.
Yeah, because, if you're skimming a bill, you want to know what's already law
And some people
and
may think
what you're
that's a lot of
changing.
blah, blah, blah. But would your PowerPoint be, is that printable? Maybe your PowerPoint
Yeah.
would be what we would hand out at the breakfast.
We can do that. I do want to, by next week, it's already this week. I was gonna try to make a one-pager too.
We do have the handout sheet, the voter guide,
We do have the stuff from.
but the map
residents.
isn't correct. That's the only caveat.
Can you
That's a
ask
pretty big caveat.
if they can fix that?
Well, Steve I sent Steve the entire file I've created, the new file, as we are moving along with these changes, and he will be attending tomorrow evening. And I'm hoping he's gonna be pen in hand marking these changes as well, so.
Also, the website's wrong about when our meetings are. It says first and third, even though you've changed to second and,
But I think if you click
Fourth?
on it, it says cancel.
yeah, but I think it still's on there for the 15th, maybe.
I'm sorry?
The website's wrong on when we're meeting. I don't think it's on the 22nd and it's on the 15th or something like that.
What's on the
Unless it's been
15th?
changed.
Can't use that calendar.
The what's been changed?
Yeah, and this is 25.
Brett, I don't know if it's real maybe
Oh.
for a purpose.
No, on the website, it has the wrong dates.
All right, why don't we go ahead
Oh, really?
and have a
Thank you.
motion to adjourn, and then we can
So moved.
work. Second? You guys want to stay here all night? Did we get a second?
Yes,
Yes,
Brian
I
did.
said.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, please
Aye.
turn off your mic.
Yeah, bring it up more.
This was actually really fun. And I just want to say, I appreciate you guys for your time. This is a lot of work you guys do. It was interesting to